It's no secret that the Toronto housing market is crazy in the year 2020. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to make a video on the last 10 years of the housing market and whether or not I think the prices will go down. So the only way I see this video being possible was to split it into three categories. You have your condos, you have your houses in like suburbia, if you want to call it that, and then you have like rural houses, like houses outside of major cities where you just have like land upon land of fields. So let's get down to business. In 2010, the average price for a condo in Toronto was $291,000. The average price for a detached home was $478,000. The average price for a condo in Brampton, which is a small municipality about half an hour from downtown Toronto, was $178,000 for a condo and $377,000 for a detached home. Over the next couple years in Toronto, the house prices skyrocketed to $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000, and now in 2020, the average price for a detached home in Toronto is $1.1 million. And you might be thinking, well, you're paying $1.1 million for a house and it should be a sick house, right? Well, you haven't really seen anything yet. These are the houses in Toronto that are costing families $1 million. Pretty, underwhelming, right? Well, unfortunately, that's the price you pay for convenience. See, I feel like the thing about paying $1 million for the house is that included in that $1 million, you're also paying for things to be, within reach or convenient. And the reason I say that is because yesterday my girlfriend and I had a birthday party to go to. It was about an hour drive from her house, which is like 5 minutes away from my house. So basically an hour drive from both of our houses. It was near the city of Brampton, the place which I mentioned earlier, which is about a half an hour drive from downtown Toronto. Now the thing about that place is that, if you don't drive, just don't move down there because you're not going to be able to do anything. Now, one thing we do have to remember is that the place is still under development. They just built the houses there, so in time other things will follow, like bus systems and eventually hopefully some type of subway, but they don't even have a proper bus system yet. If you go on Google Maps and you click the method of transportation and you click the train, it automatically takes you to the time, or it automatically shows you the time it'll take to walk to your destination. In contrast, the bus stop is right outside my house. It's about a 10, maybe 15-minute bus drive to Warden Station. And then from Warden Station, it's a 20-minute train ride to downtown, the literal heart of downtown Toronto. If you were to take the bus from that place to downtown, it doesn't even show you how long it would take because they have no buses. I looked on my maps when I was there, and the nearest grocery store is a 7-minute drive, but it's also a 40-minute walk. In comparison, the walk from my house to the grocery store is maximum. If there's like snow on the ground, you're slipping on ice, all that kind of stuff, maximum is 10 minutes. So I can walk there, do my groceries, walk back to my house and be done groceries in the same time it takes to walk to the grocery store there once. The nearest school is a 10-minute drive, or once again, a 40-minute walk. In comparison of all three schools that I went to, you had elementary school, middle school, and high school. The furthest one was 20 minutes away. It was a 20-minute walk, and that was high school. Now, in no way am I saying that it's bad to live there, because if you have a family, let's be honest, you probably don't want to live downtown. You'd want to live kind of like where I live, just outside of downtown, say, a 20-minute drive. You can also move out into the country area, like where the fields are and all that kind of stuff, but then you have to remember that you'll have to commute downtown where most people work. On the flip side, if you don't have a family, say you're a young professional in your 20s with a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want, then downtown might be the place for you because everything is close by, and I literally mean everything. The grocery store is like a 5-minute walk. You have 3 subway stations within 5 minutes of walking. Schools are close by, and everything is it's a very convenient place. But the only problem is the space. In downtown, everything is very cramped. Like the roads are in bad condition. There are cars everywhere. There's people everywhere. It's, lots of hustle and bustle, which is expected of downtown, right? That's why it's called downtown. You know, it's not so bad where I live. Like, you know, it's like suburbia, if you want to call it that. But, you know, we're not as cramped. But when you get out into the country, that's when you get your open rows and your fields of farmland, and, you know, you see the corn and, you know, all those other types of things. Another problem with downtown is that everything is very expensive. I currently live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and all in, you know, like all expenses and everything, I pay about $1,400 a month. In comparison, if you wanted to rent a 2-bedroom downtown, the cheapest I found for a 2-bedroom was $2,400 a month. So again, that's the price that you pay for convenience. It's a 10-minute walk from me to the groceries, and I pay $1,400. Whereas downtown, it's a 5-minute walk to the groceries, but you're paying $2,400. So at the end of the day, it's all about how convenient you want things. If you want things like right outside your doorstep, you're definitely gonna have to pay for it. See, when I was a kid, I had no concept of location or, you know, anything like that. Really and truly, I've lived in the same place my whole life, so I don't know any different, like, personally. But like I was saying, when I was a kid, I had no concept of location or pros and cons of living spaces or, you know, anything like that. Like when I was a kid, I just thought that the bigger your house was, the more money you had. But then, you know, as I got older, I realized that your location and your needs were two big things that you had to consider when you were buying a house. There was no point to me in buying a huge house if you were 2 hours away from work, rather than just buying a smaller house and being closer to work. And, you know, if you're one of those people that wants a bigger house, and, you know, more power to you. But the way I look at it is, I have to go to work for 8 hours, right? Plus the 2 hours of commuting one way, then you have to commute 2 hours again to go back. So already that's 4 hours per day of commuting, plus the 8 hours of being at work. So right away, that's 12 hours per day. That's half the day gone, right? That's 60 hours per week, but I'm only getting paid for 40. And, you know, that's not even counting the time that it takes to clean bigger houses. You know, when I had to vacuum and mop and, you know, do all this stuff myself, upkeep my own house, it opened my eyes to, you know, see that household chores most of the time take longer than expected. Personally, in my situation, I'd rather have a smaller house closer to work rather than having a bigger house further away. I think what I would do if I was planning my life, and I work downtown, I'd live downtown in my 20s. And then, you know, after starting a family and stuff like that, you'd obviously outgrow your condo, but that's when you would move into suburbia, and you would have a backyard for, you know, your kids to play, and you would barbecue and, you know, do whatever other activities that you had to do. If and when I couldn't upkeep the house anymore because of my age, you know, I didn't want to mow the grass, I didn't want to shovel snow, you know, things like that, that's when I'd probably move back into another condo, but probably not downtown, because I don't know, I just feel like elderly people living downtown, like I feel like it would be worse for them, because like it's always loud, you know, people are always like, it's always busy and stuff like that. And, you know, old people, like they like to be more calm. You know, at that point, your kids would be grown up and, you know, on their own, hopefully, and then you would retire. Property tax is also something that I didn't touch on, but it's basically a tax on property owners that go toward improving the infrastructure of cities, you know, maintaining roads, highways, funding schools, and, you know, stuff like that. It does fluctuate for every city, but surprisingly in Toronto, it's the lowest out of the whole province as of August 2019 at 0.6%. In comparison, Windsor, a small city which is about a 4-hour drive west of Toronto near the border, has the highest property tax at 1.7%. So if you both had a house worth $500,000, in Toronto you'd pay a little over $3,000 in property tax versus almost $9,000 in Windsor. So, you know, what I did was I came up with this, I guess you could say it's a table, and you're gonna see it here in a sec. And basically what you're gonna see here, it's gonna show the space, you know, the price, whether or not you need a car, if it's good for families, the infrastructure, the location, you know, and all those types of things. Now, you obviously shouldn't base your decisions solely off some random guy's video on the internet, but these are definitely things that you have to consider. So I'm not too sure like how to do this, so like I'm just gonna stand here and like hold it without trying to have like, you know, that glare that you can see right now. But basically what you have right here is, yeah, there we go. So basically what you have right here is you have a condo, you have a suburban house, which is like, you know, where I live now, like suburbia, like 20 minutes, half an hour outside of downtown. And then you have your country house, your rural house, which is, you know, like an hour away, like from here. And then obviously your condo is probably close to or in downtown. Price for condos, it's, you know, like I said before, it's like 600,000. It doesn't seem bad to me. I would pay that. Suburban house right now, like I said before, it's 1.1 million. Personally, I probably wouldn't pay that right now, but then again, what are you really gonna do if you have a family and, you know, you don't really have a choice and you don't want to go out to the country? With the country house, you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck, I guess you could say. It is cheaper out there. You know, you're probably looking at, like, if you bought the same size house out there that you did here, you're probably looking at maybe 700,000, maybe 650, 700, you know, somewhere around in that area. Space, obviously in the condo, you don't really get that much space because it's obviously a condo. With the suburban house, you obviously get space. You have a front yard, a backyard, and it's good, you know, for kids and stuff like that. Country house, obviously, there's just like acres and acres of like land and fields and stuff like that. So, you know, you're good there. Do you need a car if you're living in a condo downtown? Probably not. Everything is pretty close by, so you probably don't need it there. Suburban house, it depends. Because if you are, you know, close to a major intersection, close to, you know, groceries and subways and, you know, stuff like that, you could probably get away with not having a car. So honestly, it depends on your situation. Out in the country, you definitely need a car because, like I said, it's gonna be like a 40-minute walk to get to the nearest grocery store. So you definitely need a car there. Is a condo good for a family? Probably not. Just because, you know, if you have like more than 2 kids, even if you have more than 1 kid, condos can be, you know, kind of small, so that's something that you definitely have to consider. Suburban house, obviously good for, you know, kids and families and stuff like that, so you're good there. And then obviously a country house with all the space that you have, you'll be fine there. Infrastructure with condos, you know, obviously downtown, like it's very developed and stuff like that. You have highways, you have, you know, schools, all that kind of stuff, everything is there. Suburban house, same thing. Country house, you know, you have to take into consideration that they are still like developing those areas. So, you know, there's like only 1 school within, you know, like an hour, stuff like that. So it's a very like small town feel kind of thing, if you understand what I'm saying. So, you know, that's something that you have to consider. Location. Condo, you know, you're definitely like, you're in a good location. You're either downtown or, you know, you're just outside of downtown. So, you know, you're doing good there. Suburban house, it obviously depends. You can get a house downtown, which would probably be like probably close to 2 million. So, you know, that's obviously, that depends. But you obviously can get suburban houses or smaller houses, like more out in the country area, which will be cheaper. And then country house, you know, your location really isn't that good, and it'll take you, like I said, it'll take you at least an hour to get to, you know, downtown Toronto if you work there. So, you know, these are all things that you have to consider, and that was the best way that I could you know, come up with it. You know, at the end of the day, it all comes down to what you currently have and what you're going to do or what your goals are. If you're in your 20s, you know, get a condo. If you have kids, then you probably don't want a condo. But, you know, if you want to travel further, then, you know, you can get that bigger house. But like I said, you probably or you will need a car in those areas. Personally, I wouldn't want to commute a long time to work if I had a family, because then, you know, it's more time away from your kids, not counting the time that you're already working. So, you know, suburbia does sound like the best place for me. I mean, other than that, you know, that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, it all just, like I said, it comes down to what you want. If you have kids, you can't live in a condo. It's just too small. Like, you know, kids need space. You know, so you're probably going to need one of those 2 houses. If you are, you know, older in age and, you know, you're already living in suburbia, maybe you want to downsize to a condo. Like maybe you're going to retire and downsize to a condo, or maybe you're going to pool your money all together with, like, you know, a couple of your friends or whatever the case may be, and you go out and you buy a big like country house, right? And then you and a couple of friends live there. like in your 60s, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I've heard of, you know, people doing that. But, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, it all comes down to your goals and what you want. And as always, thanks for watching.